Hour 2 Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Jason Strudwick, Jonas Siegel in here. We got Pierre, LeBrun coming up. Luke Willson later in the hour. Al's brother with a Hazen bro. Tremendous information. All throwing some gut instinct, and we got to make a pick tonight. Tough game, too. Good game. AFC West. I was thinking about it, like considering where the Chargers and the Broncos are. Chargers are 8-6. Broncos are 9-5. It makes it even more incredible that the Chiefs are 13-1. That it's likely 3 teams in the division are going to get into the playoffs, and one of them could go 16-1 this season. Like, think about how good the other teams have to be. And am I wrong on that?
I'm confused.
You're confused by that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're saying because the other teams in the division are pretty good, so why is KC really good?
What I'm saying is, I think it shines a light on the greatness of Kansas City. The fact that they can be 13-1 in a very competitive division.
Oh.
Like, they're going to play the Chargers twice. They're going to play the Broncos twice.
Those teams aren't really in their ballpark at all.
No, I never suggested they were. What I'm saying is they're going to go to the playoffs. It's not like they're playing the Raiders every single week or the Jets every single. Exactly. Like, even the Bills division, let's call it what it is, been kind of a mess. You know, the Dolphins are frauds, to steal a term from Al's brother. The Jets clearly are. And the Patriots are one of, if not the worst team in the league, close to it. So credit to the Bills, but they're in a bad division. They were always going to win that division. I fully expected the Chiefs would win it, but they're going to have 2 other teams also join them in the playoffs, likely. I mean, that I think is a pretty interesting point.
Are they your Super Bowl favorite?
I'd go. I think I'm at Eagles 1 now.
Wow,
Bills.
Billy.
Eagles.
Yeah, because I just look at the NFC. I think Detroit's in big trouble.
Okay,
with all those injuries, are in big trouble.
That sucks for them.
It does. It really sucks, man. They're so depleted, and I think it's going to burn them at some point. You lose that many players and that much depth and talent, at some point you're going to get hit. So I think Detroit's in trouble. I like Green Bay. I like Minnesota. But I think the Eagles are better than those 2 teams. So I think the Eagles have the best path to get to the Super Bowl, where the Bills, the Chiefs, the Ravens, maybe the Steelers, Chargers, Broncos, decent teams. I think it's tougher to get out of the AFC than it will be for the Eagles to get out of the NFC. You guys okay with that?
I kind of like your Packers. That's kind of my, I can see them winning. Because I think they would play Detroit in round 2.
I mean, there's still some jockeying left, but they're likely to play.
That's the team. I don't know why you like the Eagles. There's too much noise around that team.
They look at how well they're playing on both sides of the ball.
Hasn't played that great.
He didn't when they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
I know, and they lost.
No, I get it. They lost to Mahomes and the Chiefs.
I know.
I get it that they lost. I understand that. I can't sit here and tell you definitively I know who's going to win.
I know.
In other years, you could say, I got a really good feeling it's, it's got to happen for this team or got to happen for that team. That happens in every sport. Football can be more difficult to predict, but no one was shocked the Dodgers won the World Series. No one last year was shocked the Florida Panthers won the Cup. I thought they were the clear-cut favorites, but I think the Eagles are in a good spot. I think the Bills are in a good spot. I'd probably have the Chiefs at number 3.
So your Super Bowl is Bills, Eagles?
Yeah, I guess as of today, that's probably what I would go with.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah,
Saquon Barkley. Love to see him in there.
That would be good. That would sting for you as a Giant fan, right? Strud, is that what you're driving at?
I'm happy. No, I'm happy for him. He had to get out of there. He was too good for us, right?
Yeah.
He was too good for that for the Giants, and he was never going to fulfill his potential there.
Well,
right?
That's 100% true. Because look what he's doing in year 1 with an organization that actually knows how to utilize them and win. Year 1 of the Max Pacioretty version in Toronto has been fascinating. When did he become basically Scott Stevens? Like, he crushes somebody every single night.
Well, he told me, it's actually his goal to try to do those kinds of hits.
He is injuring people.
Well, he's not trying to injure people, but he basically wants to have, momentum shifting kind of hits, not just
but
like
he's smart.
bang guy.
Yeah,
he's
he
a
is.
smart veteran. He understands he isn't who he was, so he's got to find a way to contribute, and that lets him hang around longer. Look at Corey Perry. He's I mean, he was always ratty, but he's figuring out a way to contribute nightly, and that's what those vets do. That hang on for a lot longer than many people think they might be able to.
Yeah, I didn't see this one coming. It's every single game he throws a massive hit.
Where you're like, was that clean or was that?
Exactly. Like, that guy was kind of turning. Whoa, what a hit. And it's Max Pacioretty every single time. Here's Pierre LeBrun, our TSN hockey insider. Where do you stand on what you've seen out of Max Pacioretty and where all this physicality has come from all of a sudden?
Yeah, I don't know if it's all of a sudden, to be honest. I think we're noticing it more because probably, you follow the Leafs more than any other team, Brian, but even during his heyday in Montreal, when he was known, when he was captain, known more for his offense, I mean, you can ask Zdeno Chara. He was a pain in Zdeno Chara's, in that rivalry, Boston-Montreal. He would stand up to Big Z, and they had a real physical rivalry, those two guys. So I think it's always been there, but it's not the first thing you think of it. And for me, I'm just happy to see him healthy because it's been a long road. And, I remember talking to him a couple of years ago. He was so excited to come back from the first time he ruptured his Achilles when he was in Carolina, and then he re-injured it. And you're just like, oh, my goodness. I mean, you kind of wondered if that was it, to be honest. And he's persevered and, through the PTO and come all the way back. It's a pretty fabulous story, really, so far for the Leafs.
It feels like the New York Rangers' house is on fire right now. And, I'm not sure if it's the GM, if it's the coach, if it's the players, whoever's responsible. It seems like everyone's hair is on fire. How does that group of people bring it back into focus what they're trying to achieve, which is win games? Because it seems like it's everything but winning right now.
Right. I mean, as you know, it starts in the room. And, I was following today, it looks like Vincent Trocheck asked the New York media to go and talk to him, and he wanted to clear the air that the players, yes, they had a players-only meeting recently, but it was not about the fact that they wanted Chris Drury fired or whatever. He wanted to clear the air. I'm just going to say, when you're having that kind of media session, that's the kind of year it's been. But it's been a house on fire. But at the end of the day, when you got Igor Shesterkin in goal, I still think this team finds a way to get in, believe it or not. They just have to, stop worrying about the nonsense around them and get back at it, because there is enough talent there. And, listen, Kakko's a guy who I think wanted to change the scenery. So there's one guy who's gone who isn't moping around, and I don't blame him. I mean, he looks like he's going to benefit from a change of scenery in Seattle. But, when you start making these moves, maybe it helps reset the room. But, they are 3-9-0 since, the memo that Chris Drury sent out, the GMs, was leaked. They're 3-9-0 since then. So if that memo was meant to, in some ways, shake up the team and wake them up, it did not produce that.
I'm curious, Pierre, like from a journalist standpoint, if like Trocheck wants the media now to come to him so he can get a message out, would you feel obligated? Let's say they get smoked their next game or the next 5, and Trocheck goes, I'm not speaking. Like, would you be in the right if you're in that room to say, wait a minute, you have to come speak now? Like, is there any obligation? I know it doesn't work that way, but I guess I'm speaking to the frustration of I'm sure a lot of reporters in that room are like, really? Now you need us? We've been dying to talk to you guys. You're a house on fire. It's a mess. But now, when you want to get your message across, you can't wait to talk to the media. Like, what is the journalistic integrity type of role on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a better question for Jonas because he covers the team for a living. I've always kind of floated around covering 32. But on a day-to-day basis, Jonas would have a better grasp for that. But I would say this, Vincent Trocheck, individually, I've always found him to be very approachable and very accessible. So I don't think he's an issue that way. But I understand where you're coming from. And, I know that Chris Kreider did a pretty lengthy interview with a bunch of the beat writers in New York when his name was leaked. And the very next day, I think he addressed it. And it sounded like he gave a really heartfelt interview about how he feels about it and so on. So good on him for that. So I don't know if it's a media, access thing in New York as much as, why is this, when this all started, the Rangers were in a wild card spot. Like, why did management suddenly decide this team isn't cutting it? Like, that, to me, that's an off-season decision, not a, hey, it's November and we're 7th in the East, let's blow it up. That's the part of that I struggle with in terms of the timing, because it is so hard to make meaningful change in season in a cap system. That, to me, what you're inviting really is controversy and distraction more than meaningful change. That's the part that I struggle with.
Pierre, do you think there's still another shoe to drop there?
Well, yeah, there could be. If the losing continues, I mean, the low-hanging fruit is always a coaching change. I personally get tired of that always being the move, because I think it's GM survival mode in some ways. But on the other hand, the Bruins and the Blues both turned around their seasons by making a coaching change, right? So the proof's in the pudding. It seems to jolt the team. I just think that I don't know why firing Pierre Laviolette would be my move myself. But they got to start winning. I mean, honestly, they cannot win a game right now. The other thing is, I think there will be more trades. I mean, listen, Kreider's name was on the memo, and he's still a Ranger. So going into March 7th, I still think there's more moves coming from the Rangers from that perspective. So, it's incredible theater. And I heard you guys talking, I think it was Strudwick earlier. Yeah, it's not a team. This is not a Stanley Cup team that's won a bunch of cups and now they're being reset. But they were 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup final 6 months ago. And I'm trying to think of the last team that was 2 wins away from the Stanley Cup final that had this kind of fall from grace. It's pretty dramatic.
Well, Nashville might put their hand up in terms of what the expectation was before the season, right? They never found any rhythm like the Rangers had earlier this year, and they obviously were not 2 games away from a Cup final last year. But they were the darlings of the offseason. No one made more noise, and no one got more love.
You should not want to do that, because doesn't it seem to backfire on every team? They're like, they had a great offseason, and then it's like, actually,
the worst thing you can do.
Wasn't there the summer of Pierre? Not you.
Oh, the
Pierre.
Ottawa Senators were every single year, prom king on July 1st. We're the best. We're going to win a cup, and then it would fall flat. Famously, the Blue Jays, remember in 2012?
Oh, yeah, Josh Johnson.
Well, yeah, exactly. Burley, Jose Reyes, R.A. Dickey, they were a disaster that year.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, it was a mess.
It gave me PTSD with that.
I know, that one hurt. That one really stung.
Meanwhile, the Cowboys just stuck with everybody and brought it all back.
Yeah, and look what happened. So maybe you're right. Maybe they need to win an offseason every once in a while. But where are we at here with Barry Trotz and the Nashville Predators? Because they obviously made a deal yesterday, Carrier for Barron. They make a 1-for-1 trade with the Habs. I don't know how much that's going to affect the rest of their season. What else could be in store here for Barry Trotz and the Nashville Predators?
Yeah, we had a good interview today, and he kind of walked me through where his frame of mind is now, because, as he says, it's been a really incredibly disappointing year. He's not hiding from that. I mean, this is not where they thought they'd be in a million years. I will give credit for Trotz for one thing. Last summer, after he quote-unquote won the day on free agent frenzy, which he did by any measure at the time, I remember interviewing him the next day, and he says, well, it all looks good on paper, but it's all fantasy hockey unless it comes together for real. He did say that on July 2nd to me. So I'll give him that, because he'd been around the game long enough to understand that just because you go out and sign all these guys, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to all work. And fortunately for him, it was the latter. But in terms of what we chatted about today, he thinks he's going to be a bit quiet now. I mean, he's made a number of moves since the start of the year. He's traded away 3 players. He waived another. And the reason for these moves, as he put it, is that he's trying to gain a little more cap flexibility heading into the next offseason. And he was adamant. He repeated this 3 times during our chat. They are not tearing this down. They are not going into a rebuild. They want to do a little reset here. They're acknowledging the reality of the situation, that it's almost possible for them now to make the playoffs. So they're peeling off some pieces so that they can attack the offseason again, go after July 1st, go after the trade market, go after teams that are in cap trouble. And they just hope they can bounce back next year, kind of like the Devils did from last year to this year, and be a playoff team again next year. That's where his mindset is at.
Pierre, the Utah Hockey Club is within spitting distance of a playoff spot. There's a lot of positives happening there. Logan Cooley, Dylan Guenther, and Sergachev. So it feels like they're kind of flying on the radar. Is this what happens with a team that moves, and maybe historically the former Arizona no one was really into, or is there something that they're just kind of playing without two of their core D men, still making things happen?
Well, first of all, did you watch that overtime last night?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh my. That's maybe the best overtime I've seen in 3 years in the NHL.
It's a track meet.
Oh my. Oh wow. And the crowd, no one was sitting.
Yeah.
Now again, first year NHL crowd, they're getting used to hockey. It was unreal. Everyone was standing up. It was riveting stuff. And let's start there. I mean, they're playing in front of an actual crowd now, and you could tell from the players' comments here and there when you see the beat reports. It's night and day, and there's just such a relief for those players that they're playing in an NHL building, number one, and in a market that's embraced them. That human part has been huge for that team this year, I think. They've also survived some massive injuries on the right side of their defense. I mean, Sean Durzi is going to be out for most of the regular season, or he'll be back sometime in March. John Marino is out until either sometime between mid-January to mid-February. That's their top two right-handed Ds. I mean, that could have buckled a lot of teams in this league, and they've kind of grinded their way through that. And so they look forward to getting those guys back. But, they've been building towards this moment. I think what we forget is around this time last year, if someone can pull it up, but they were actually not too far from a playoff spot, even in Arizona. And what happened in the second half is that the roof fell in because the players started to realize behind the scenes, I think this thing is ending. I think we got trouble on our hands here. And they started having talks with the PA and stuff was happening. But I think that whole thing completely took over that room where it was so difficult to deal with. And it sunk their season. I think they were a better team than they showed, is what I'm saying. So the bump that we're seeing, the fact that they're fighting for a playoff spot, I think is actually more realistic based on where this roster has been built to. They should be battling for a playoff spot. I don't know if they'll make it. The West is pretty tough, but they're certainly battling for one.
Yeah, they're in it. We had Peter DeBoer on the other day, and I was talking about the Central Division, and he went out of his way to mention Utah and how they've been playing. And obviously, they're making somewhat of an impact on that division, and people are taking notice of it, but they happen to be in a very difficult division. Where you've got Winnipeg and Minnesota and Dallas and Colorado. It's a fight. It's a fight. But it's a good point because I hadn't been paying attention to them really since they started. Opening night, they were in the new building, and obviously there was build-up. And go ahead.
And if I can add quickly, I had a chance to catch up briefly with Ryan Smith, the owner, at the Board of Governors meeting last week. And I actually had never met him before. I had interviewed him over the phone when he was trying to get an NHL team, but I had never met him. And one of the things that both CJ and I were there, he took out his phone and he showed us a digital forecast of what the rink is going to look like when all the renos are done over the next few years. You sort of see it happening in front of your eyes in this program that he brought up on his phone, and it is unreal how that rink is going to look like by the time they're done. They're dropping massive money in that arena to make it more NHL friendly, and just I think another example of the commitment that obviously that guy has for the hockey team. So pretty positive stuff there.
Yeah, it'd be a cool story because if they get in, it still is the Coyotes. That's what I think makes it feel different than Seattle or Vegas. Is there was no expansion draft. When the expansion players moved on, for a lot of teams, there was a lot of fans. They had a connection to Vegas or Seattle because one of their players got plucked, right? Where here, very different. They have to boost the profile of players because they don't really have superstars. You mentioned guys that are really good players, but they don't have household names on that team. I guess they would in Arizona to an extent, and they probably do now in Utah, but Logan Cooley and Keller and Sergachev.
Dylan Gunther.
Gunther's going to be a
really good player, Strud. But how many, he's from Edmonton, so people probably would know there. But I think if you asked 100 diehard hockey fans where he plays, I'm not sure how many people would know. And that's something that I think Ryan Smith and Utah and I guess the league have to do a better job of. But you got to get into the playoffs to really build your profile. That's kind of the way the Stanley Cup playoffs work and the way the NHL works.
That's where you get more national TV and more spotlight when you make the playoffs. And the other guy we should mention that's playing out of his mind and almost forcibly because of the injuries on D, Sergachev has been unreal over Tampa. He's playing a ton of minutes, and of course, he scored the OT winner last night. But and by the way, before you guys cut me off here, I have a bone to pick. With Jonas, so I'm going to do this right off.
There we go. I love it.
Yes,
athletic on athletic crime.
So yes, and it is an athletic thing. So I want Struddy and Hayes to weigh in here. So we had our athletic Toronto holiday get together on Tuesday night.
Yep.
Oh. Now I will say I was late getting there because my son had a hockey game, so I came in late. But I kid you not, as soon as I sat down and ordered a beer, Jonas got up and left.
What?
That is greasy behavior.
I was personally hurt.
Very
I
coincidental.
was personally hurt.
Listen, he was laying the groundwork before he went down there, I think. I would not take it personally. Jonas, I don't think, was dying to have a big night. Was that on Tuesday, Jonas?
It was.
Yeah, you were in here with me. That kind of rings a bell that I don't know if you should take that personally. That said, if the guy just sits down, you got to stick around for 10 more minutes.
Didn't even see that he sat down.
You got to give him 10 minutes.
Wow.
Like, you guys don't have a massive profile up here in Toronto, do you, the Athletic? Like, how many people would have been there?
Like two. Just
Well,
two of them.
2 people.
Reservation for 3, but 2 people. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
On that note, please go read my Barry Trotz column in the Athletic today. There you go.
All right, there's your plug. Do you have anything you want to plug, Jonas? You spoke with William Nylander.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And he's shooting for 50 goals.
Yeah, he is.
Willie thinks he might hit 50 this year, Pierre. What do you make of that?
I think he's going to hit 50 all day. But the one thing I don't like the big line together. I like Nyes better with Matthews and Marner, or Matthews and Nylander. To me, Marner and Nylander, either one with Matthews is fine. I don't like all the talent in the same line, personally.
Yeah, I think it's going to change at some point. I think we all anticipate that. But it's fun. You know, it's different, right? It's got like a shinny type, like throw sticks in the middle type vibe to it.
Well, and the one thing about it is that when you talk to coaches over the years, when you try these things in the middle of the season, it's good to know, put it in the back of your mind, because when you get to game 3 of a playoff series and it's desperation
Thank
time,
you, Pierre.
You're not trying it for the first time.
Yeah,
that's
just
the one thing I would say.
Well, Jonas is convinced that they're going to play a full game together.
that is called taking me out of context.
Okay, 9%. He's 9% sure.
9% sure.
I will tell you this. If those 3 have to play a full game together in the playoffs, it's because at least they're down 2-0 in the series. I can assure you that.
That's a good point too. That means they haven't scored. They got shut out in 2 straight, and they're throwing. Remember, Sheldon Keefe did that against Columbus.
It was game 5.
It was game 5.
He put Tavares up with Matthews and Marner.
Yeah.
It went terribly.
Yes.
Nylander moved to center.
That's right.
And Sheldon was like, I'm never doing that again.
Right.
Ever.
That was a COVID moment. That didn't count. Sheldon wants that strip from the record. That never actually took place. That's what's going to happen, Jonas. You're going to see that happen. And I think it's
I look forward to coming back and talking about it when it happens.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a long way from now.
Pierre, next time I owe you a beer.
And a hang around.
Yeah.
Just a hang around. You don't have to buy him a beer. Just hang
Yeah.
around. Be in his presence for 10 minutes.
Chicken wings.
O-Dog still owes me dinner from 3 years ago for a Dallas Cowboys bet.
Yeah,
so,
good luck with that, Pierre. Never going to happen. Anyway, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you doing this.
All right, guys. See you later.
Pierre LeBrun joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Check out Maple Toyota's huge truck and SUV lineup, including Tundra, 4Runner, Highlander, and Grand Highlander in stock and ready to deliver. Visit mapletoyota.com. Yeah, you got to stick around for a little bit, Jonas, because there's.
I was looking for my jacket, and it was like, oh, there's Pierre.
So you gave him the hey on the way
No, and
out?
then we talked for like 3 minutes, and then I was like, okay, peace, gotta go.
What did you record? Like the A team on VCR to get home and watch it? Like
Right.
what was going on?
What did you have
MacGyver?
on Tuesday night that was so important?
Just a long day.
Yeah, it was a long day. You were up here. You had to deal. It was just me and you on Tuesday too.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this time of year, the holidays, you got to be careful with stuff, right? Like, because everyone's checking you out. I just had a conversation. TSN's got this. I wouldn't say it's a TSN thing. Some people are trying to get together. I can't make it now. Originally, I said I would.
Oh, boy.
So now I think I'm in trouble there because people were trying to make some transportation plans revolving around me, and now I pulled the chute. It's a tough one, man.
Gotta be careful.
Well, here's what's happening, and I was supposed to bring this up yesterday, but as I referenced earlier today, I was completely out of sorts on the show yesterday. Forgot to get back to it. I think I'm walking into a landmine here. I think I'm being set up. All right, so friends of ours right around the corner. They have people over. It's like a Christmas thing, kind of. It's generally informal, but I was made aware that it's a pajama party.
Oh no!
But here's the catch: I have to do the show, so I'm coming in last. I think it's like a black tie, and they're setting me up. Like my radar's going off that I'm going to walk in like Grinch pajamas, and everyone else is going to be drinking cocktails in suits and dresses, and be like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Should I have my radar going here, Strud? Do you think they're possibly setting me up?
Well, do they have a history of being funny, or are you just a little bit gun shy right now?
I'd say it's a combination of both, to be honest. I think I'm on edge. I'm on edge because I'm the last one coming in. If it's a Saturday night, that's different because I'll be there first and I'll be picking up on the P's and Q's. I walk in there and they're decked out. I'm right back to the house. No one needs to know any better.
Sure.
I'm coming in last. They knock on the door. The door's open. Hey, there he is. And I'm going to be in.
What if you wore your pajamas under your suit?
That's why we employ you, Jonas. That's why you're the man of reason. I love that idea.
I was at a party Saturday night. My wife says, it was a 50th birthday party. Just that's it.
Yep.
And she's like, we're going to wear, there's a couple other couples all decided, the wives, that we're going to wear Christmas sweaters to this party. I'm like, no. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. I just want to blend in. I just want to walk into a party and blend in. So sure enough, they get these outfits and we all wear these sweaters. We walk in, the music stops. Like someone was singing Summer 69 on karaoke. It literally shut down and everyone looks over and I'm like, great. This is exactly what I do. And I start sweating right away.
Yeah.
I make a beeline for the drink table. I'm like, this is why you don't want to stand out. I don't want to stand out. I want to blend in. I want to get my groove on, get into some chip and dip party. Maybe some of the meatballs. Yep. I don't want to be standing out.
Did you karaoke, Strud?
I'm with you, Strud.
Oh, I love karaoke.
What was your song?
Oh, man, so many. I think I did That Summer by Garth Brooks. And not good. You know what the problem is? The pitch was wrong. So I kept asking the guy, can you pitch it up or something? Like, I like to sing a little higher than my voice would.
Oh, it was the technology jammed you up.
It was. I'm like, please raise it. He raised it like a half a note. I'm like, this isn't working. So, you don't know if you should sing high or low because I can't hit that. I was so frustrated. And I kept going after Brandon. Brandon was his name. He was like the guy's brother. I was all over him the whole night. Can you adjust this? He wouldn't adjust it. It was outrageous.
You're chasing him around the ice.
I was like 2 a.m. I'm still arguing with this guy.
Yeah, like you screwed me on the pitch, man. I have the voice of an angel, and the technology was terrible. Okay.
Well, you're not going to get Mariah Carey to sing as a bass, right? Like you have to find the right pitch.
That's right.
Jonas, you must sing on that karaoke. And
I'll bet you
Pierre
Jonas
at the
crushes.
Big athletic parties.
You and Pierre at the athletic karaoke party would.
I might have stayed if they had karaoke.
I think that would break numbers on YouTube
I
and
can't
stuff.
ever see you doing karaoke.
Me, I don't know if I've ever done it.
I can't see it.
I have a horrible.
Never?
I've never had any. I've never thought I care to do it. Yeah, exactly. I have no ambition to try it. It's not a Joe Cool thing. It's just I don't think I've ever been to a karaoke bar. Like I know they're scattered throughout the city, but I don't know. It's not my thing.
So much fun, especially when you've dropped a couple shots and you get in there.
Well, see, I think that's mandatory though, isn't it? Like I'm not going out there like sober as a judge. Like, hey, throw on some Garth Brooks. Pitch. Like I'm not doing that.
No.
I would need to be half cut, if not fully.
Brandon raised the pitch up.
Jamming you up.
Brandon. I think he did it on purpose because I was one of the top 10 best singers there, and I couldn't show my best moves.
He probably saw that goofy sweater you were wearing and said, I don't like this.
The sweater. I didn't even put the two together.
That's what it was.
Snoop Dogg. I had Snoop Dogg on my Christmas sweater, and I'm trying to sing That Summer by Garth Brooks. Outrageous.
Can't work.
Snoop Dogg or Snoopy?
Snoop Dogg. Snoop like Snoop gin and juice.
Like Snoop D-O-double-G?
Did you karaoke that?
That's pretty cool.
No, I can't rap. I can't. I love rap, but I can't rap. I walk into the party. I'm trying to sing. I got soup on my shirt. They ran out of port that I like to drink. The pitch is too high. There's a lot going on Saturday night, boys.
Night.
Awful night in Edmonton.
Rough night.
Awful night. Rough night. All right, Luke Willson coming up. Al's brother with the pick as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
If you smell what the
When Wilson
is cooking. Girl, you know it's true.
Yes, mandatory. Little Milli Vanilli. This would be a pretty good karaoke track.
Yeah.
Right? This is Luke Willson with us. Are you a karaoke guy?
No, what?
I think you'd be good at it.
You think
Come
so?
on, Luke.
This guy I couldn't see doing it. Maybe you'd be good at it. But
I might
couldn't
actually
see
have
you
a
doing
secret
it.
talent. I've never really given it a shot. I know I can't sing. I have no musical talent. None
Need.
whatsoever. None.
I don't believe that.
None, Struddy. Nothing. I can't play anything. Nothing.
Do you sing in the
I know that's
car? Do you
shocking
sing in
you.
the shower?
I mean, who doesn't sing at times when they're listening to
know.
music? Yeah, of course I do. I'm human. I'm not AI.
When you're dyeing your hair, do you sing?
Yes, I do. I have the AirPods in. I've got the, what do they put? Like the
curlers?
The curlers or the styrofoam or whatever they, not styrofoam. I'm losing my
foil.
mind here. The foil, that's what it is. The foil. And I start belting out tunes.
Look at this guy.
Anyway.
Man. He can barely speak. He's so nervous for tonight. He's so nervous.
Listen, Al's brother will join us here in a moment. I've been complaining that every single game we play is the exact same game. Even playing field, low number. Tonight, Chargers and Broncos.
Be a pro, man. Listen.
We'll
we're
get
down
to
the
Al's
stretch.
brother in a moment.
You're down the stretch and you're complaining about tough games. This is what pro athletes do. We
That's
make
fine.
calls down the stretch in tough games.
We live in this world.
Hello.
This isn't going to be an issue for us. We will be fine. Al's brother will join us in a moment. It's got to be a bigger game for the Chargers, though, right? Like
Yeah.
they're 8-6. They're
So-
coming off a bad loss to Tampa.
Very
They got
bad.
blown out.
To be honest with you, I think it's a bit of a statement game for the Chargers in the sense of, Harbaugh was there. I believe at one point they were either 7-3, 7-4, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
They're now sitting here at 8-6. Now their next two games after this, I believe, are New England and Las Vegas. I'm not sure if that's the right order, but it just smells. It's just a faint smell of the Chargers charging right now.
Yes.
You lose tonight, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we got one game to win out of the net. We got to win both. We got a one-game lead above Miami or Cincinnati, and I don't know what the tiebreakers are there, assuming Miami and Cincinnati win this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But I could just see, and then you're giving bulletin board material to the Patriots or the Raiders being like, hey, we're obviously a terrible year for us, but by the way, we can knock these boys out of the playoffs tonight. Boys will be salivating. The Chargers start charging, and the next thing you know, they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
A hint. I'm not saying it's
I agree
legit,
with
but
you.
it's a hint of that.
I agree with you, and I feel like they don't play good teams very well, yet I still can't figure out what Denver is. Like, their offensive line has been outstanding. Bo Nix has been good.
Defense is great.
Yeah.
They're tied for number one in the league.
That's what I'm
points per
saying.
game.
I mean, like I said earlier.
Them and the Chargers, 17
I was
points.
saying earlier, like, it speaks to, I think, the greatness of the Chiefs that they're in the same division with these two teams, and they're still 13-1.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, it's
that's
pretty
why
incredible.
there's a lot of things that people leave out when we get to the Chiefs. They're like, oh, they're a terrible 13-1 team. I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
They're in a division with three playoff teams
Three
right now,
teams
and
going
most
to the playoffs.
likely three of them going.
Yes.
And they're 13-1, and we're griping because we don't like the way they've won 13 of their 14 games.
I know, it's incredible. And like, Mahomes isn't even on the injury report today.
Correct. And the
He's-
game they lost was against the future or this year's league MVP, who had a Superman run on 4th and 2 in the fourth quarter.
Right. In his house in Buffalo.
Correct.
Tough weather. Not that weather's an issue. I mean, Kansas City.
But it's like, oh,
South
Kansas
Beach.
City. I can hear this all the time. Kansas City's fraudulent. I'm like, I don't know what games you're watching.
I think my thought on that is that it's too easy just to keep saying they're gonna win and they're gonna win and they're gonna win, and it's like, I think the general public doesn't want that to continue.
Yeah.
Like, you want them to lose.
Well, they're not
So-
blowing anyone out.
No, they're not.
They're
and
not
that is
scoring
valid,
a lot.
but they are still
Totally.
winning.
There's been a lot of, their offense looks very discombobulated at times.
But
Right.
we said that last year. We were like, who are the receivers?
Correct. And then they came out and shredded everybody in the playoffs and went right to the Super Bowl and won.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's more of a psychological thing that you want to poke holes in them. It's very difficult to do,
Well,
but
so
you want to, because it can't be this easy to play pro sports.
let me ask the master
Thank you.
if the Bills and Chiefs played.
the master. Struddy, you're the
he's
master
hot. He's
for hockey.
10-1.
10-1, last 11. Since
Wow.
a speech. Since a speech.
Hayes
Let's
and Bro
say
+2 on the year. Just want to
Bills
point
and
that
Chiefs
out.
play tomorrow. Bills Chiefs play tomorrow. It's the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
Who are you picking?
Chiefs.
Chiefs. Yeah.
That's on the money. You're just talking money line. Who's
No,
gonna
like
win the
I'm just
game?
saying you're picking that game.
Yes,
Yeah.
You'd still pick the Chiefs.
to win the
But-
game.
For sure.
For sure.
Right now, I think that the Chiefs defense will do enough to slow down Josh Allen.
Yes.
The only shot the Bills have, which is a good shot. I want to be very, very clear. It's a good shot. But the only shot the Bills have of winning the Super Bowl is if Josh Allen strolls in the playoffs, most likely right now as the 2 seed. That could change if the Chiefs slip up. And he goes MVP performance, MVP performance, MVP performance. 3 straight games. I do not see this team going to the Super Bowl and winning without a vintage Josh Allen, ran for 2, threw for 3, or some combination with 400 total yards.
Yeah.
They're a middle of the road, if not below average defense. The run game is hit or miss, depending on who they're playing. But they have the best player in the NFL right now.
Wouldn't that apply to Lamar Jackson as well? I know he's got Derrick Henry, which is a significant help. But Lamar, in my opinion, has got to do the same thing to win a Super Bowl.
Don't you have more playoff questions with Lamar than you do with Josh Allen?
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
And that's the point. He's got to overcome that.
And Lamar's got, but you said it. The difference for me is Lamar has more help around him. And I will also say the Ravens' run defense is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. It is very, very, it's one of the best in the league. Their pass defense is the opposite. But so that's another kind of issue for me where it's like, I think Lamar has more help than Josh does at this point.
Struddy, you can get in on this because he's a Giant fan. So luckily he picked the right team in New York.
Oh, yeah.
The New York Jets, you've seen this story.
I saw it.
Where their owner, Woody Johnson, reportedly turned down a trade for Jerry Jeudy, who is a stud in Cleveland right now.
Yes.
Because of his Madden rating. A video game rating, Woody Johnson said not feeling it, and he nixed the trade. How do you respond to that as someone that was in the game for a long, long time?
So
both the video game and the National Football League. Real life and virtual.
Yes. I will answer that from the assumption that this story is true. Mm-hmm. I have a hard time. I don't know Woody Johnson. Obviously, you hear horror stories, but I have a hard time believing that he's that stupid.
It seems insane.
For a guy who has as much money as he has, it would strike me a bit bizarre that he's this dumb. But I remember, I was not a guy who played a ton of Madden. That wasn't really my jam. But there are a lot of guys in that locker room who live and die by it. Mm-hmm. And the Madden rating adjuster would stroll by practice, and guys would be all over him. Like, yo, buddy, get my speed up. Yo, buddy.
Wait, that happened?
Oh, yeah.
So someone from EA
I didn't
showed
know
up.
that.
Oh, yeah. Not often, but hey, in camp, they'd come by and
they're watching you to evaluate you?
Yeah, what would he be doing?
So it was funny because then they'd ask, guys would be like, what goes into it? In EA, this was at least how it was, 9 years ago. They'd say, we actually hire guys to do the ratings that know nothing about football. So this is what makes the story even funnier. They're like, we don't want any sort of bias in these ratings. So we get these super nerds. And they come and they do their little math and their analytics. They run your combine stuff. Okay. They know nothing about football. They run your stats. They probably get all the analytics now. I'm sure EA has a deal with the NFL. And then it's all computerized as to what you are.
Wow.
So it was funny. I ran a very good 40 time for my size. So I used to get notes all the time when I was a kid. Okay. Playing in the league. Dudes, all the time. I love playing with you in Madden because speed kills in Madden.
Yes.
And I'd be like, I have the most overinflated speed on planet Earth. But again, in their algorithm, I trick the game somehow.
Wow.
So the idea that Woody Johnson is using some absolute stranger's information that is chosen because he knows nothing about football makes it even crazier.
It does, yet it also shines a light on what happens in sports today, where calculators do make decisions.
Yes.
There are actually teams that are like, my numbers suggest this guy can't. It's like, your numbers
don't matter.
What are you talking about?
Correct.
Yes, you can
watch
have some
the
numbers,
game,
but mix in a little bit more detail than that. Call up and say, is he a good guy in the room? How about that?
Yes.
Is he a guy that works hard? Is he a guy that has had injury problems?
This is
crazy.
You talk about numbers, and I remember this, and it stuck with me for my entire career. Again, I talk about this 40 time, and when we would go into special teams meetings every week, it would be like right beside whoever you're playing was their 40 time. And the coaches would always say, when you run that 40 time, and you're a college kid, you're not even in the NFL yet. When you run that 40 time, that time, whatever is marked, it doesn't matter if you had a bad hamstring, great day, bad day, whatever. It could be whatever. Raining, snowing, no one cares. That time will stick with you for the rest of your life.
Forever,
and then
man.
after you hit 28, it's he was a 4.5 guy, but now he's lost a step. No matter if you've gained a step.
No difference.
That's how it goes.
That's your time.
That's how they told me. And it was true because it would be like every week we'd go in, again, special teams, walk in there and be like, all right, here's their winger on punt or whatever.
Yeah.
Be like, this guy's a 4.7 guy. He's been playing for 6 years, so he's probably lost a step. Next.
Yeah.
And you're like, this has no relevance to what we're doing.
What a scouting report.
Yes.
Woody
Was
Johnson.
there ever a guy whose number was a certain thing and it changed?
You're going to cut Struddy off now?
I can't believe he.
That's a scumbag play.
Outrageous.
I can't believe he just cut off Struddy. You can cut off Luke whenever you want.
That's
you cannot
scumbag
cut
stuff.
off Struddy. Go ahead, Struddy. Al's brother
No.
can wait a minute. Finish your question.
I was just going to say, so of those numbers, what was the player, who was the player that surprised you the most? Like, it was X, then he got on the field and saw him running like, this guy's way faster than it said on the scouting report.
So for me, Struddy, instead of speed, it was weight. So
Really?
I would sit there and be like, and this was more offensive style, but it's like, who am I playing this week? And they'd have them listed like, oh, this guy's 275. So for me at tight end, I played somewhere between 250 and 255. I love that matchup. You know, I'm supposed to be a little more agile. If I'm blocking a defensive end at 275, I'm loving that. The tough ones where all of a sudden now it's like, this guy's $3 bills. I'm like, giving up 50 pounds is tough.
Yeah.
But what would be tough was when the 275 guy showed up and hit like the 305 DN. I'd be like, there's no way this man is 275.
Yeah.
And then you get the odd one that would be like, oh, this guy's 6'6", 260. And he'd show up and I'm like, well, I'm 6'5", 255 at some point. And this guy's 30 pounds heavier than me. So the math is not mathing, like when I'm standing beside him. Again, but you
So
go
you should
through
have
it.
checked the Madden rating.
Yeah, I probably should have.
You know,
Same thing with weight.
it's a good segue into my boy here because he once ran a 40-yard dash. What was your number, Al's brother? 10.6?
No, it was a 10-1.
10-1.
His
Al's
Partsy
brother-
was a 10-6.
Here's the
His
question.
Partsy.
Do you know that
Do
Jeff
you
O'Neal
think-
ran it in 10.6?
That is an abomination.
That is an abomination.
Do you think that I could run a 40 right now backwards faster than you can forward?
No, not backwards. Not backwards.
Do you want to take?
we
How
go.
about we declare this right now? If we're tied at the end of the season,
Yes.
that's the tie break.
Deal. I'm telling
Al's
you right
brother?
now.
Al's
Al's
brother?
brother, this is the most terrible thing you can say yes to.
Please shake on it.
Absolutely done.
On it. I
That is
love
done.
it. I love the confidence.
Wow.
Doogie's going to manipulate
How is he gonna do that? It's a 40-yard
What do you
dash.
mean? The guy's been giving me layups. No, not the time.
Oh,
He's
I know.
gonna-
He's
a
gonna,
tie.
of course, he's going to hook you guys. Of course, he's going to. He will avoid the
Because he
tie
doesn't want to
somehow.
embarrass Luke. That's why. He doesn't want it to be a
I
tiebreaker
know.
because he doesn't want to embarrass Luke
Al's, bro,
and have
I'm
him
an
lose
elite
to me in a
backwards
40.
runner. Full stride, not back. You're thinking back pedal. I'm talking about a backward sprint.
Yes, you're running
I'm
backwards.
breaking 10 for fun.
No,
Probably
you're
7.5.
No, you're not. You're not on a bike or something.
Backwards?
Yeah, I think
You're running
wrong,
backwards,
Hayes.
man. He's running backwards.
It's not that hard to run backwards.
When do you do that?
Thank you.
You a kangaroo?
I run.
Like how often do you run backwards?
Every warm up. Every warm up in the NFL. It's a warm up drill.
Yeah, but there's no time limit on it. Like there's nothing to
You just jammed yourself.
No, I didn't. I believe in my man Al's brother. I guarantee you, he looks great these days. You're
Yeah.
gonna break 9.
That new
I think.
haircut he's got does look fast.
Yes, Al's brother. Go ahead.
That's right. It's
Go ahead.
agile.
All right.
Very agile.
Okay,
And
we're-
Luke, when you had your Madden ratings, your foot speed, terrible. So I don't know what you're talking about. You're going to trip up on yourself.
That's
First thing
tremendous
I did-
information.
First thing I did when I bought Madden, went to franchise mode, was the Seahawks, traded Luke Wilson every time.
I love it. For future
fired.
considerations.
Oh, man.
For future considerations.
7th round picks.
That's tough.
All right. Al's brother, where are we at? Tremendous information. Broncos, 2.5-point dog. So the Chargers are 2.5-point favorite at home tonight. Where's your head at?
Yeah, and we get jammed once again, right? This is the 3-point
it's a
game
layup.
yesterday, and it gets dropped down to 2.5 tonight. But I do still like the Denver Broncos. I think they're the cover darlings of the NFL. They've covered 11 of the 14 games this year. And I think the matchup is very, very much in favor of the Broncos. They got a stout defense. They're ranked second against the run with the league's best interior run stuffer. In terms of their win rates, DJ Jones is an absolute stud. He should be able to stuff the run. And if that's the case,
When he says win
I don't
rates?
like what's going on. Yeah, with Justin Herbert with that brace, if he's got to maneuver around the pocket, if he gets pressured, I don't really love the offense tonight for the Chargers. And Bo Nix, He's been dealing a little bit. I like what they've been doing. So I anticipate if they can put up 20-plus points tonight, they should be able to be at least cover, if not win this game.
I like where your head's at. Luke always says it. It's tough to beat a divisional opponent twice, especially if you're on even playing ground. The Chargers beat the Broncos earlier this year. I think Sean Payton comes over the top. I think Harbaugh's losing a grip here. I think the Chargers, they're starting to really leak some oil here. They don't play good teams very well.
We're
taking the points.
I probably would have taken the points, but I just want to pose a couple questions. In case you want to think about it. Your boy Kyle probably hates me.
Yes.
Have you talked to him?
I haven't. I'll speak with him on Saturday morning.
Kyle, I could have tried the reverse psychology.
Don't reverse psychology.
Are you a bit nervous? Rookie on a short week.
I know. And listen, Chargers need a bounce back.
And both teams right now, I believe, giving up 17.6 points a game. Best for number one in the NFL.
All right.
Broncos' run game, very poor.
Listen,
this becomes a run back and forth game.
Line, it's going to be.
You guys are going to get jammed by the hook. The hook will jam you.
That's why I would have preferred it was 3 like it was earlier today. Doogie made sure that wasn't the case.
On the take
fine.
right now. He's going to give us layups this weekend.
He will. Listen, I'm all good if we get to a tiebreak. I feel great. It's like the fire-making thing in Survivor. Al's brother lives in the woods. Al's brother's going to run a 40, and I'll bet you
we'll have
under
to adjust
8.5.
I will have to under 8.5. I'll still win.
No, you won't.
I've been training, guys. I love it. I'm ready.
We might have to give him a couple yards. We might have to put a spread in there.
Dude, it might be icy. It could be snowy.
We're not doing it in the parking lot.
Oh, yes, we are.
No, we need a grass field.
That's where I run. That is where I run, Luke.
Al's brother chooses to run on.
That's my home field advantage.
That's his home field. You
Like
get
Rocky.
out there, it's a disaster, that parking lot.
Yeah, I'm running backwards with potholes.
Exactly. That's where Al's brother dances, man. He gets on his toes. It's like a cone drill for him running the 40.
The dancing bear.
I love it. All right, we're taking the points. Broncos, lock it in. Al's brother.
Let's ride.
Great seeing you. Hopefully we see you on the 40 line sooner rather than later. There's Al's brother. Luke, enjoy yourself tonight.
Cheers.
Catch you guys tomorrow. There's Luke Willson and Al's brother. Hour 2 coming up. OverDrive continues. Or Hour 3. I am in a blender right now.
Yeah,
man.
you are.
I'm in a bit of a blender going into this game tonight. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, I got a list coming up. Hazy B's list to start next hour. Strud muffins are coming. I'm not going to do this again, Struddy. Remember a few weeks ago I said we do a Strutter Dud and I jammed us. We will sneak in some Strutter Duds.
Cool.
The oven's ready to go. And Craig Button coming up as well. On the Leafs winning last night, Leafs coming up this weekend, and also the World Juniors. They start their tune-up tonight. So we'll get Craig's take on where we stand as the Canadians get ready for the World Juniors. So that more still to come in the final hour. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050, soon to be up on TSN 2.